Clashes with the police on Friday night. Over 470 people have been arrested. Violence flared after a teenager was shot at close range by a police officer in Nanterre, Paris on Tuesday. The officer was arrested and the boy, Naël, will be buried on Saturday. Faced with the chaos, the government suspended public transport from 9 o'clock on Friday evening, banned public gatherings, increased manpower and imposed curfews in an unsuccessful attempt to halt the cycle of violence. Demonstrations accusing the police of racism and violence were banned in Paris, central Marseille, Lyon, Bordeaux and Toulouse, but hundreds of people still marched with placards calling for the police to be disbanded. The Algerian government has expressed its concern over the death of Naël, who was a French national of Algerian and Moroccan descent. His funeral is set to take place on Saturday morning.
But stay for the riot cops on the Champs-Élysées. This night in the town ended after dinner with aggression for dessert. So this is one of the most famous roads in Paris. It's supposed to be busy on a Saturday night. It's a glamorous street. There's tourists supposed to be here. But instead, what we can see is there is a game of cat and mouse between the riot police and very, very young people. They have already promised to use force, and right now they're making their way down towards the young people. In this midtown standoff, shops were forced to close as teenagers converged and the police closed in. These were able to outrun the officers, but could not outrun the motorbikes. It's hard to know who was here out of protest, boredom, or just curiosity. But there was no doubt why for some.
Tous les policiers sont jeunes maintenant, ils n'ont plus l'expérience, ils n'ont plus la capacité de pouvoir se contrôler. Vous voyez ce que je veux dire? C'est très grave. Aujourd'hui, réellement, toute la jeunesse, elle va réagir.
This was the night that followed Naël's burial. The 17-year-old Arab shot dead in Nanterre by a police officer following a traffic stop. The officer has since been charged with homicide and has pled not guilty. But teenagers, the same age as Naël, believe they have taken justice into their own hands.
Il n'y a pas forcément besoin de tout casser, mais on est obligé de faire, on est obligé de les faire comprendre un moment. Donc je pense que c'est la seule solution là pour l'instant. Voilà.
Moi j'ai pas peur, faut dire les choses. On peut me tabasser, c'est pas grave, je vais dire les choses aujourd'hui. Et si je dois casser, je vais casser. Mais force à la police quand même, hein, parce que c'est mort. Là, on va me taper après, frère. Voilà.
This was the largest outbreak in the center of Paris, but it was far muted than anything in the suburbs. Or Marseille, now the hotspot. The police are now taking a tougher line. In Lille, a heavy police presence is questioning anyone passing through. These scenes from Tourcoing are what officers are trying to prevent. In the back in the Parisian suburbs, this garden belongs to the city's mayor. Although he was not home, prosecutors say there was an attempt on a life. The gate was rammed and a car set alight, and this was a quiet night. New tactic or not, there is a lack of direction, which these young activists want to see.
We are supporting this anti-restitution movement who are coming from the suburbs and the popular area. But we also know that we have to transform the anger and these riots into a political response that the government cannot avoid, cannot ignore.
Safia and 19-year-old Sasha are from the suburbs that have been front lines of fury.
A guy gets shot, is Arab or black, is a minority, he gets shot, there's protest. The government say that we need order and you need to stop the things, and they don't read the question, and it's the same thing again and again and again.
There's a desire to talk about police violence and a history of racism, but can those things happen when the shops are being looted and things are being burned?
You need to understand that it's more deep than this. Some people actually did this for their life. You know, my dad was in the protest in 2005. I'm in the protest. I don't want that my son go on the street to protest for his life, for his safety. If we don't doing this, who will do it? You think that the white people will go on the street to say, oh, we really need to treat the question of the black men on the street, of the African descendant in France, and all the stuff? They will not.
Something